Well, you know, the really interesting thing here is that we've talked a lot about black hat and what not to do, but I really want to pick up on, and I always take this approach with everything I do, what is the best thing to do? I keep hearing about this phrase called organic search, the idea that we want to be picked up by Google for our own credibility. We know that we're awesome at what we do, and we want to tell the world what we do. This is the Mona Lisa and the paddock idea. I have several websites now, but the one I had at that time was a career counselling website, and it was awesome. It looked great, and I was a good career counsellor. I studied to do it, and I was pretty good at it. I had this website that no one could find, and I know what I'm talking about. No one knows who I am. How do you build in organic search and get people to find you when you are the authority of something, but you're a bit invisible?
That's a long strategy, and I want to say that first and foremost, because organic search takes a long time to build. And there are two types of search on the web that concern website owners. There is the organic. This is where you control the information you put in about your website that helps describe it to the search engine so it can get found. And then there's paid search. And this is, of course, the advertising. But in this segment, we're certainly most concerned about organic search and how to optimize your site so it can get found. And a typical search engine results page will have 10 organic results on that one page that link out to different web pages. And then, of course, at the top, as I said before, they get the slight pink box where their first 3 are the paid ones.
10 sites are the ones that have got the most authority for their subject matter. And that's a long strategy, yeah?
Yeah, well, yes, because the one important thing to point out is that the internet has changed a lot since search engines first appeared. And there's a lot of content on the web beyond just text and web pages. So it's incredibly important to remember that creating a wide variety of content is best. Search engines will always view and list website addresses in search results, but they also return information on search engine result pages for such things as videos, images, graphics, products, infographics, location addresses, and maps. So the role of a search engine is to pair the user search queries to pages that match that topic. The best thing you could do if you have this great site is optimize, create all the different types of content that I just mentioned, but describe each piece of content using specific keywords, and this is incredibly important, alt tags. People forget and may not even put in, they may describe, even give a title to an image, but they won't give an alt tag. And it's the alt tag that the Google reads.
How do you do that, and what does that mean?
Well, in certain ways, like if we're going to go back to WordPress, WordPress has in its media library, when you go upload a piece of content, after it uploads it to your server or its server, you want to describe it. And it'll ask for the title. It's going to ask for its alt tag. So you're going to give it another sort of visual, another handle on that piece of content.
Because this is so important, sites now have an alt tag tab, do they? They have the
yes.
add that very easily.
And certainly WordPress does. It wants you to fill out every one of these different text boxes to describe this piece of content for search engines. I mean, they try to make it very thorough. You're going to put that information in along with the description, but that description doesn't necessarily get read by Google. It's those alt tags and those keywords that it's actually reading. When it sees that piece of content and wants to determine what this is and where to show it in search. By creating all this content and describing it, then you're producing what we call a layered search around your website. Remember, Google doesn't know a cat from a dog from an octopus. It's not going to see any of that. It has no code. It's not ones or zeros. It's not going to see any of that. It's going to take what you describe that image as and place that up and categorize it accordingly.
Incredibly valuable, Chelse, for a couple of reasons. Let me just decode what you've just said there, because even I'm spinning out trying to understand it. If you're a blogger, and let's take the example of my career counselling site, which was in 2007. I'm very proud of that site. It looked great, but nobody visited it. If you take this idea that in 2007 I was a pretty damn good career counsellor, And I had a really good site for that, but no one knew who I was.
Mm-hmm.
And if I took this strategy of blogging, which we've talked about, and I started blogging about career counselling, just say you take this track out, and I write a blog, but I don't do any of the alt tagging or any of the keywords. Again, I've written all this wording, which maybe Google could find, but you've got to make it easier for Google to find you by adding all of those rich goodies in the back end, which is why Orgainc Search takes so long. It's not only the writing of it, you've actually got to do all the ancillary stuff in the back end, alt tags, keywords, and this just takes time, doesn't it?
It does.
If you don't do it, I mean, you're just going to be a Mona Lisa in a paddock, a great site that no one knows about. And that's even worse.
I love that saying, and it's so interesting to point out that had you written that blog and you put up a picture, and pictures are the most shared and one of the most sought out, look at Pinterest, for instance. I mean, one of the most sought out things on the web. Images are shared, say, for instance, to jump slightly off topic, but when I talk to my clients about the importance of Facebook and what kind of content, the number one piece of shared information on Facebook is an image. Imagine building that blog entry. You put that picture in there to represent some point about your blog, and Google goes out there and you put the keywords. It's going to see the text. It's going to realize you put up new original content, which it loves. It's going to see this image that it can then put into image search, and now you have layered search. If you link, by the way, inside that blog entry back to your original official website page, you have a link coming back to your page from an article generating new content to the web with an image that's also linking back. It's describing something, but it's linking back to your website. All of that is now new search around your website that you've generated that now Google is putting out there. And here's the beauty of it. That blog entry, if based on the keywords, your blog will then go into a Google alert. And yeah, you're writing about Facebook, and it's some new content. Google will have 48 hours to crawl that, and it will send it out to people who have listed Facebook as an alert. They want to know, what's latest and breaking on Facebook. Your blog entry will list. I had one time where I wrote a blog entry on something, I can't remember the topic. It was something like Facebook was popular, and nobody else that day had anything that Google had found, and I became the one alert sent out to who knows how many people. There was nobody competing with me.
Let me pull this apart again. I really do think that I'm like the decoder for you, Chelse, because you've got so much knowledge. You're like an encyclopedia. But let me just explain for newbies and for people at my level what you just said there. You start with a blog post that you've gone to all this trouble of writing, but you don't do any of the SEO stuff. And you become the classic phrase we're using today, the Mona Lisa in a paddock. You've written an article, no one gets to read it. What a waste.
Right.
But with what you've said there in the layered search, you optimise the words with keywords, you optimise the images with alt tags, and suddenly that one article that you've written not only gets seen on your website, but also gets seen by Google, who then sends it out as a Google alert if that subject is of interest to other people. So you're multiplying the amount of people that see it just by doing a little bit of the back end work with keywords and alt tags.
Absolutely.
And this layered search approach.
That's right.
Images, words, and all of the associated things that people look for. It's brilliant.
It is brilliant. You know what? Here's another tip. Now, not everybody's in the habit of making an infographic of their particular industry, but one of the most popular items right now on the web, and certainly sizably larger in sharing than just about anything else, is an infographic. If you can construct an infographic, if it's a business and it's your particular area, or gathering statistics and about something and putting it together into this visually compelling graphical way, it will be shared. It will be found and continue to be shared on the internet for a long time. This is a fairly new kind of content that's only happened in the last 10 years, really, but it's gained tremendous speed. So again, this is one of those things where, how do you manipulate the web? How do you get out there in a positive way and be found and what we call stepped on, meaning shared and shared and shared and go viral possibly? One, get found. You put the SEO, optimized for search, all your content, even if you don't think anything about it, a small little thumbnail graphic, put in descriptors, describe it when you upload it. Every website has the ability to describe the content unless, God forbid, you're using a Flash website. Don't do that. You want to be looking for websites that, if you're going to start and build one, that has the back-end support for optimization.